Hey, thank you, everyone. So that people who's studying here at the university. Right. So all those clips you saw were from student teams around the world that work with Epic, that work on Unreal. So if you want a chance to be in the next showreel, talk to your tutors. They'll talk to Epic. You can submit. Epic shows that at all its events. So it's a cool way for you to show your games, show your art, show your projects around the world. So I'm going to talk maybe 30 minutes. What's that? It's still running. Got ambient beeping. That could have been a really nice backdrop. So I'll talk maybe 30 minutes. Time for questions at the end if you want. Time for water. My name's Luke Savage. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Franco, for inviting me. Done that. So I'll talk briefly like who I am really quickly. I've kind of got 10 tips here. So these are kind of lessons, tips, guidance that I still try and follow. I'm still trying to do better at that have helped me in my career. Like I said, time for questions at the end. So I'm part of Epic Games. I work within the Epic education team. We're a small team. We work around the world helping students, schools, universities, helping bridge that gap from studying and making cool things on Unreal Engine to then starting your own company, working with developers, working with all sorts of companies who do equally amazing things on Unreal. So I didn't actually study games when I was much younger. When I was much younger, we didn't have many games courses. We didn't have the range of tools that we do now. We didn't have companies making their tools available for free when I was younger. So I studied economics and film. I worked in the UK. You can tell by my accent. I worked in London for a long time. I worked actually with film companies, working on film productions, helping them create training. Then I started working with games companies. I started writing. So I worked as a journalist for a short time, but I worked with games companies. Then I spent 11 years at PlayStation, where I helped students develop and publish games on PlayStation. If you've got PS4 or anyone got a PS Vita still? PS Vita, there's some good student games that you can play made by students while they were at university. Same way that any AAA studio would make a game on PlayStation, students were doing that as well. It was very cool. So one thing that's always common as I've kind of been working for the last 20 plus years, I'm always learning something new. So I'd always say you should always follow jobs or roles or projects that give you an opportunity to learn something new. So all these I've learned have kind of built up the range of skills I have now that I'm able to use in my current role. It helped me get the job that I'm in now. And I went back to school a lot. So don't be afraid to go back to school and learn more. So I learned how to write by studying a diploma. I learned more about business by studying a Master of Business degree while I was working. Actually, I started it. Then this COVID thing happened, and suddenly having study and discipline and structure was really good where we couldn't go out. Do I need to ask this question? Do we know what Epic does? Yeah, we've got some nods. Okay, we've got something. Yeah, good. So you may know publisher, Fortnite, publisher of amazing games. It's built Unreal Engine. Huge amount of games companies will use Unreal Engine. So some of our favorite games are made on Unreal Engine. Equally important, huge number of companies that don't make games are using Unreal Engine. And I'll come back to that. A huge amount of companies are using it in their workflow. That's really important to think about. When you think about where your career will take you, it might go in very different directions. Tip one, we're going to run through 10 tips really quickly. Who's making games right now? Okay, we've got a good one. Okay, good. So maybe maybe you're following this tip already. That's excellent news, right? like I said, we are in an amazing world where you can learn almost everything for free if you want to, right? If you want to LinkedIn me afterwards, I can share more links, more material, more courses that Epic Education has developed, either on the Epic Dev community, on YouTube, but we can all go and home and learn right now, right? You can learn Unreal Editor. Has anyone used Unreal Editor for Fortnite before? I think this is a really interesting area, right? So when we talk about game development, we think about maybe AAA, indie. The world is changing. A lot of user-generated content is now becoming more common, but also lots of companies that aren't games are moving into this space. So it is a really interesting area to look at. Just a quick stat. So if you want to, you can find lots of information on that bottom bit here. So Google that, you can look at all the stats about how players are playing Fortnite. Just very quickly, 5.2 billion hours. That's how much were played in creator-made islands. So islands that you or I would make and publish ourselves on Fortnite. So people play that kind of content a lot. And of everyone who plays Fortnite, so everyone who logs in, most of them, 70%, are playing these creator-made islands. So it's a really interesting area to look into. If you go to a lot of talks, you'll see a huge amount of studios popping up now. So a studio called Beyond Creative, based in the Nordics, worked with Nike, and they helped Nike produce an experience on Fortnite to launch their last sneaker. So huge companies are using it. I find this fascinating. So if you're looking at game development, we think of game development as a really long process, huge teams, huge budgets. Actually, there are different ways to make games now. So think about different ways that you can make, publish, get your work out there, work with companies. And actually, you don't need a huge budget. You might not need a huge team. You can do that yourselves right now if you want to. Tip 2. Does everyone know what they love? We're still figuring it out, right? Everyone's still figuring it out. You have to find what you're passionate about. I'll skip that. I won't do the video again. So I mentioned before, you should always look at how you can learn, how you can build new skills, and whatever you do, whether it's a job, a role, a course, you should find that passion in every role, job. It might not be the entire job that gives you everything you love, but there must be something in that job, that role, that project that you're really passionate about. And it could just be one thing, and then it could spread. So we've all seen this maybe before. When we think about our role, our kind of place in the world, you want to look at what you love. So what is it that brings you joy? What is it that makes you happy? What are you good at? Like, are you an artist? Are you a producer? Are you a programmer? Or do you just like working with teams? Are you good at working in teams? Are you good at telling people what to do? That's good as well. But the world has to need it, right? So if you're making something, it has to be needed. If you're producing something, if you're making a game, someone has to want to play your game. So ideally, that's what you want to be in this perfect spot there. And this sounds very cheesy, but you can do this. I've done this. I did this when we were locked in our houses during the pandemic. You have to find what you're passionate about and follow that path. So you can do this in your week or in your month, in your job or in your course. Look at your week or your month. Find 3 things that really make you happy, that you look forward to. It could be a project. It could be a team that you work with. It could be a meeting that you really enjoy. It could be an event. And then say, how can I do more of those? How can I fill my life with more of those? And likewise, do the same thing and find something that you don't want to do. There's going to be something in our week or our month that we really don't want to do, right? So think, actually, can I work with someone who really likes doing that? Can I pass that on to someone else? Or how do I move away from that and focus more on the thing I love? I've done that. That helped me change my jobs. It helped me craft a different job. when I was working at PlayStation. It helped me move. If you find what you're good at, if you find what you're passionate about, you have to find other people to work with who are just as passionate, because work is hard. Making games is hard. You have to work with people who want to be there and who want to do it with you. The important thing now, I mentioned working in a team. So when you go for jobs, so a lot of people graduating soon. Are we people still studying? Yeah. So you're going to put your CV in, you're going to apply for a job. When someone looks through your CV, honestly, teamwork and how you can show your communication skills, they're going to be just as important as the artistic, technical, creative skills that you can show. Because making games is hard, and people want to work with people who bring them joy, who make that hard work actually quite fun. So you have to show that you can work in a team. That could be in any job that you've done, any project you've done, any event that you've organized, any game jam you've done. You have to showcase that, right? So if we look at the typical day in the life of a game developer, 90%, 60% working on games, 30% you're in meetings. Most of the time you're working with other people. You're not going to be doing things on your own. So you have to work with other people, and people have to want to work with you. Even if you're playing, you can be playing with someone, right? Hopefully. So I mentioned this before, tip 4. We all love games. That's why we're here. It's not always easy to find jobs in the games industry right now. So you have to think wider, like the skills that you're building now, or the skills that you will focus on, how can they be relevant to other games or to other companies that don't make games, but need people who know how to make games, right? Because we can be very honest about this and we can boast. Games are really important. Game technology is changing the world. Every creative industry is going to use game technology, right? So the biggest TV and film productions are using Unreal to pre-visualize scenes. Entire animation films are built using game technology, using Unreal. I mentioned Nike will use it to showcase their products. The automotive industry, BMW Group have got the largest driving simulator in the world. It's powered by Unreal Engine, by game engine technology. If you look at some of the groundbreaking training and simulation that's happening in hospitals, they're doing that in VR, again, using game engine technology. All those companies are going to need people with game technology skills. And you might work at a company that isn't games. You might find something in there that you're really passionate about. So you might find, actually, I love doing this. So I love this team, I love this company, I love the benefits this company gives me. You don't know where that passion or that skill that you have is going to take you. Not just me saying that. World Economic Forum, a really important forum. At the start of this year, they said that 1.1 billion jobs are being transformed by technology by 2030. So if you're studying game technology now, you're in a really good position, whether it's AI, programming, coding. These are the jobs that are going to be powering the future. So think about those jobs beyond games companies. So I've talked a lot about games and passion. Got some homework for you now. So we all have to do some homework. So when you do look at jobs, when I've looked at every job that I've applied for, the most common line that I always see is must be problem solver or showcase problem solving skills. It's the most common, it's the most vague, right? Could mean anything. But you can all find out what kind of problem solver you are, and you can improve that right now. So you can go to this app's free. It's not affiliated with me. I've got no shares. It's not affiliated with Epic Games, but it's a really good free website. Asks you a few questions, and it will give you a profile. It'll give you a profile where you will be ranked in some of those categories. Those are the key problem solver categories. And when you work in a company, you're going to have to use all of these at some point. You have to dial these up at some point. So I come out kind of a thinker detective. That means I like to do a lot of research. Someone says, hey, Luke, what do you think we should do here? I'd probably say, let me have a think and I'll come back to you. But actually, I need to be more adventurous, right? In my current role, the team I'm in, I need to be more visionary. I'm like, hey, we should be doing this. Let's do this. And not, I'll get back to you. That doesn't work. That doesn't work right now. So you will have to do all of these things at some point in your job, in the company you're at, the projects you're on. So you find out what kind of problem solver you are, find out what you're not good at. Just find out tools and tips to dial up that area of your problem solving. Then you have to show people how good you are at that. That's another challenge. I mentioned problem solving. We also have to be storytellers. So whatever we do, we're going to have to tell stories. So the good thing is, storytelling is all about problem solving, right? So I've just talked about that. The better thing is, if you're making games, then you're kind of there already, right? Because games are the perfect form of storytelling, the most interactive and engaging, right? Every great story, we can all break it down. That's how we break down that's how I break down every game, if I think about it, right? There's context, there's something is happening. We're in this world somewhere. Something's wrong, something's broken, there's a problem, and then we solve it. So how do we resolve it and have a happy ending? Right. So every great game that I've played, right, there's the Mushroom Kingdom that's been invaded, there's a princess that's been kidnapped, and we've got to defeat the evil king. Right. Mario, yeah. You can tell I grew up on Sega and Nintendo. There's a really fast hedgehog and there's a mad scientist out there. We've got to collect all these weird emeralds. Right. So that's right. So every great game, right? So and also that's how we will pitch a game, right? We have a context, something's happened, but here's what we're going to do. Here's how we win this game. That's also how you have to sell yourself. So I've done this, right? So every job I've had to do a presentation and I've had to do an interview for that job. And it's been hard. So and I'm a thinker and a detective. So I do loads of research to do that presentation. I research who's interviewing me and find out what they like and what words they like. You have to sell yourself the same way that we break down a story. So you have to give context, talk about a problem, and say how you solved it. So you have to sell yourself by saying, I was working on this thing, but something happened. We had this huge problem, or I had to overcome this. Here's what I learned. Here's what I implemented. Here's what I built. That's how you're going to tell your story in an interview. And people will remember that. We all remember stories more than just data or facts. So if you tell your story, you're going to sell yourself better. You're going to have more impact. It'll increase your chances of getting that job. That's not enough, right? There's more. We still got to do more. It's tough. It's very tough out there. We have to brand ourselves, which sounds horrible, but it's not. It's not. But that's the challenge we all face now. There's a lot of people studying games, a lot of people making games. There aren't enough companies in the world for us all to work at. So you have to work really hard. But when I talk about personal brand, it sounds very, cheesy, but it's not. But essentially, how do you want people to see you? And that could be your values, what you stand for, but also what you're passionate about, what you're good at. Your personal brand, that's the first thing that someone's going to see. And they're going to form an impression of, okay, that's what you will do for us. That's how you will help us. That's why we want to work with you. So, right. So I mentioned before, we are in a world where there's so much happening, so many choices. If there's a job, there's going to be a lot of applications, and someone's going to look through lots of CVs. If they don't find the information straight away, they're going to move on. So you have to make it easy for people to understand who you are. I'll come on to this more. You have to make it easy for your community, so for your network to root for you, to tell people how awesome you are. And you have to make it easy for people to find you, right? For recruiters to find you, because recruiters are going to have certain criteria when they recruit for a job. They have to be able to find that really easily in your CV, your portfolio. So again, some homework for us all to do. Early morning. We should all have one line, or we could all have one line that is our personal brand. So my friend Josie is a something who's known for something and is currently doing that. That's a personal brand statement. What that means is Josie's a game designer, building in Unreal Editor for Fortnite, currently doing a project with a top fashion brand. So that would translate across all of Josie's public-facing profiles, right? Whether it's LinkedIn, CV, ArtStation, whatever it is, you have to find a way to have that real consistency. So if you're at the top of your CV, that's what you say you are good at. Someone's going to go to your LinkedIn profile and say, okay, well, where's your experience of doing that? If you show me your portfolio, how can I see the projects that demonstrate that you've built those projects you said you have, that you've worked with those companies you said you had? It has to be really easy to find. I mentioned before, community. We all need people, right? But more importantly, we need people to need us, right? So we have to work with other people in this world. But I can honestly say networking is the most important skill I've used to develop my career. And I say that I'm not good on LinkedIn. I find it really hard. I'm from an age where I'm not used to doing that. But the company I'm in now, the people I work with now use it a lot. The industry uses it a lot. It's how people show what they're doing. It's how you build your network. So you go to an event and you'll meet people and then you'll tag them, and people will then start forming their networks. And when you change jobs, someone's email drops out of existence, but they can reach you on LinkedIn because they know you. So you have to build your community. I mentioned before, your community, so your friends, your colleagues, people you've met, they will speak about you when you're not in the room, and they will be your brand ambassadors, right? So they will say, hey, Luke's really good, right? He's worked in all these countries. He's built these partnerships with these universities and these game companies. Yeah, he knows what he's doing, hopefully, right? So you need that network. You need that community. They will do a lot of work for you. You have to find what works for you in terms of building that network. It's physical events, in-person events, following up on LinkedIn. I do a lot of email. I'm really good on email and checking in with people, wondering, saying, hey, are you going to this event next month? Be cool to catch up. Have to find ways to connect with people. Here's why it's important. This is a little bit old data from 2024 from ArtStation. I've circled two things there. So you can see the number of permanent roles that were advertised, about 60%. So less than 2/3, almost or over a third of jobs weren't permanent. I don't think I'll work at a company again for 11 years. We're all going to move jobs and companies quite a lot in our career. You have to build that network. When a job comes up, hundreds of people will apply for it. A lot of jobs will come up where someone says, hey, we're recruiting for this role. We think you might be good. Would you like to submit for it? Would you like to apply? If you've built your network, if you've got that community, if you've got a really good brand, people will go, hey, we know you. We think you're pretty good. Do you want to apply? And that takes hard work. That's not luck. That's a huge amount of hard work building that network and that trust. Like I mentioned, if you're LinkedIn, I use LinkedIn a lot. ArtStation has a huge amount of an audience. So think about what works for you, the kind of projects you're showcasing, what you're good at. I don't use social media. I don't use Instagram, TikTok. Most of the people I work with, very heavy on LinkedIn. So very quickly, I'll run through the last couple. Don't be afraid to ask. So we all go to these events, we'll go and do these things. We see people, we go, oh, that's so-and-so. Or, oh, they've got a cool role. They've got a cool job. I wonder how they got that. Don't be afraid to ask. I've done it before and felt, I think I was quite shy growing up because I've got older brothers. I was just very quiet. But I've realized that nothing can go wrong when you ask someone their advice. Most of the time, people are flattered when you ask for their advice. If you say, hey, look, can I buy your coffee? Love to chat. You could do it on an email. You could do it in person, on LinkedIn. Just find a way to make that connection and just find a way to ask people their advice. You don't know where it's going to lead to. Last, you have to enjoy being uncomfortable. So when someone says, hey, can you work on this project? And you don't know how to, it's okay to say, yeah, I've not done it before, but I'd love to try. As long as you're honest, as long as you don't lie and say you can, and then they say, oh, I thought you said you'd worked on this before. If you're honest and say, look, I'm a quick learner, or if someone says, hey, look, someone's dropped out, can you go and do this talk? And you've never done a talk before, just do it. That's it. It hurts. Like sometimes, like emotionally, like go, oh, I don't know if that went well, but you just get up the next day and do it better next time. And you know what worked, you know what didn't, and it's never as bad as you think it's going to be. We all have those same feelings. So you have to enjoy pushing yourself out there, because that's where you find what you're really passionate about. It's how you learn. It's how you build your network. So quick recap. If you want, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I can send you loads of these links or slides if you want to just have a quick screen grab. And look, my last tip, no one has it all figured out. So we all see people and think, God, they're really awesome. But everyone has the same feelings of, well, I was at an event recently. Someone was talking who's pretty amazing. She talked about the same doubts, concerns, imposter syndrome. She talked about those same feelings that all of us will sometimes have. No one has it all figured out. So we're all going through the same stuff. Just some of us are better at putting a different face on it. Or some of us have been around long enough to just dismiss that voice because we know it's not true. Like I said, my story seemed like a straight line. Didn't feel like that at the time, right? None of our careers feel like a straight line. It's only when I can look back now, 20 years later, and go, oh yeah, that's how I end up here. Trust me, it doesn't feel like that at the time. But you have to either follow your passion. So like, this is what I love doing right now. And it'll change. I'm passionate about things now that I wasn't 20 years ago. And you also have to learn something. You have to keep learning. That's me. We started late. So do you want to have time for questions? We have time for questions. Or I'm around all morning as well. Oh, sorry, there's a mic just coming.
Thank you. It's about the video of the interface. I was wondering if people can apply that aren't students at this university.
It depends. So which university is it? That's okay. So my quick answer is
right.
Epic. So there's a cool Unreal Academic Partner Program. Essentially, what that means is universities can become academic partners with Epic. Doesn't cost anything. It's basically just saying, yep, are you teaching Unreal in your course? And then they get access, they get a bit more help and support from the team at Epic Games. Any university can do that. You can send me the university and I can help them out.
Well, it's not for me specifically because I graduated, but I was wondering because I have still friends that are like studying. and I wanted to send them that link, but I don't know if the academy that they're studying at is affiliated with. So
Yeah, just say, or
okay,
feel free to introduce me. I'm happy to talk to them.
awesome. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. And did you have some tip for someone who is uncomfortable with networking?
Yeah. Go with someone, right? It's like the Top Gun thing, like take a wing woman or a wingman, someone who can back you up. So if you walk into a room and you go, I don't know anyone here, then at least you can go, meet me here in 10 minutes. You walk the room and just say to your friend, let's meet here in 10 minutes. Unless you bump into someone. It is uncomfortable at first. I would say target events where you might know one or two people, or it's about something that you know about, or something you're interested in. That'll help, because then you might find people that you may have bumped into before. I find sometimes how you stand, like how you open your body, so people know that they can approach you, and or you might find that other people have done that. And you can maybe just say hi. Just you'll figure out. Like the more you do it, I was the same. I still go to events. I still have those moments of, God, I might go home, but just wait 5 minutes. Give it 10 minutes. That'd be my advice.
Thank you.
A question all on the other side.
So very nice to meet you. This is kind of a broad question, more about the working environment these days. What and more, yeah, on an opinion from you or companies where you're working, where you have been working. What do we think about working remotely nowadays, going forward, and when people apply for jobs,
Yeah.
expressing a preference for remote working? I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a preference? Do you think you'd be a hybrid, or what would you like to do?
I mean, I love to work in the work environment, but nowadays, I mean, you're in Italy right now. So many people have troubles moving abroad for work, even if they would like to or manage to. But it's from COVID, working remotely has become a more understood option. Maybe people are less scared to for well for a remote work position. But maybe it's just a preference. For me, for example, it's just a preference. I fear expressing the preference and without anything else might, influence the interviewing process.
I think a lot of jobs will say it very clearly in the application, in the job. They'll say 2 days, 3 days. A lot of game studios are remote first. So you wouldn't expect, like Insomniac, who made Spider-Man 2, which is Spider-Man's one of my favorite characters of all time. But they were remote first, and that's a huge game. You think about what happened during the pandemic. That's when PS5 launched. That was launched while we're in lockdown. I would say it's a mix, right? I would say you will need to work with other people in that physical format in some way. And I think those are good. And a lot of companies will incentivize. You say, like, we're going to make it a really social day. I find that the days I go into an office are my least productive, because you're doing all the social,
Yes.
cultural, hey, this is why we work together stuff. Then the next day you're like, I need to catch up on loads of work, right? So it's a combination. So I used to do 2 days 3 days in an office. Now I travel more, but a good job, a good company will have some flexibility, especially games, because we have these time zones. You're going to work across countries, so you have calls at different times of the day. So yeah, you should be able to have that conversation. You shouldn't be afraid to have that conversation. Probably once you've got through and they said, we really want you, and then you can say, well, actually, I'd love to. And you should have a really honest conversation of what you'd like to do. But if people want to connect on LinkedIn, happy to do so. Luke Savage, if you type in Luke Savage, Epic, I should be the only one. I mean, Luca is here. We've got very similar names. Luca is up next, but you won't get confused between us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.